All right, problem 37 is a multi-part problem based on a two-way table. This two-way table is a random sample of students at a local high school. They're categorized according to their gender and whether they support a proposal to increase the length of the school day by 30 minutes. The following table summarizes the data. So we got to fill in some values. So we just want to make sure we know how a two-way table works. And the way a two-way table works is you add across to get the total for the row. You add up and down to get the total for the column. And then this corner right here is the addition of both of these. Should be the same to get the total people in the sample. 44 plus 40 is 80. 10 plus what is 30? 50 plus 40 is 90, plus 20 is 110. The missing number here has to be 40 to get a total of 90. Just double check. 40 plus 40 is 80, plus 10 is 90. Okay, 80 plus 90 is 170, plus 30 is 200. And double checking, 110 plus 90 is 200. Okay, so we filled in the missing information. Now it asks, according to the table, what proportion of the students in this sample who oppose this proposal are male? So, of the students in the sample who oppose this proposal, that's the denominator. So, how many students total oppose the proposal? 90. So 90 has to be the denominator of this proportion. So we can eliminate B and D. So 40 out of 90 or 50 out of 90. What proportion of these students are male? So where's the males? 50 out of 90. So this is the numerator. And for those of you who don't remember, a fraction is numerator over denominator. And you can think of denominator as down. So C is our answer to part B. 50 out of 90. Okay. This is kind of a guess as to whether I really don't think they're going to expect you to know what these mean, but just in case, it doesn't hurt to have some familiarity with it. So a joint relative frequency, remember the values in here, these are called joint frequencies. The reason they're called joint frequencies is because they join two options, right? Like they join whether you oppose, support, or no opinion with whether you're male or female to bring together join. So these are joint frequencies. These are called marginal frequencies. And you can think of marginal as the margins of the page, right? The margins of this page are the outsides, the space where there's no writing. So these are marginal frequencies. When you get into relative, a joint relative frequency would be a joint frequency divided by the total. A joint frequency divided by the total would be a joint relative frequency. A marginal relative frequency would be a marginal frequency divided by the total. And a conditional relative frequency would be one of the joint frequencies divided by one of the marginal frequencies. So, like, think of conditional as the condition that the person is male. On the condition that the person is male, what is the relative frequency that they support the proposal? So, like that. Okay, I'm just going to write those down for you right here so you can have them as access to them. Okay, so a joint relative frequency is a joint frequency over the total. Marginal relative is a marginal over a total, and a conditional is a joint over a marginal. Okay, so 20 out of 30, let's find those in the table here. 20 out of 30, that's a joint frequency over a marginal frequency, so that's conditional relative. The next proportion is 10 out of 200. 200 I know is the total, right? So this has to be either a joint relative or a marginal relative. So 10 out of 200. It depends on what the 10 is. Let's look and find the 10. The 10 is a joint frequency, so 10 out of 200. This is the females with no opinion out of the total. So it's a joint over a total, so it's a joint relative. 30 out of 200. Again, the 200 is the total, so it's either joint relative or marginal relative. 30 out of 200. The 30 is here, it's a marginal, so marginal over total, that's a marginal relative frequency. In this case, this marginal relative frequency is the proportion of the total sample that has no opinion. Fill that in. 50 over 110. This right here is not a total. So really, the only one that has a denominator that's not the total is a conditional. So I don't even really need to look at the table, but I will. This is a conditional relative frequency because 110 is a marginal frequency. In the case of the table, it's the total number of males, and the 50 is the 50 who oppose. So this 50 over 110, this conditional relative frequency is out of the males, 50 of them oppose the proposal. Okay. So it doesn't hurt to be somewhat familiar with this terminology. Even if they don't specifically ask you for it, it may pop up in prompts and stuff, and you don't want to be shaken by it. All right, there's one more part to this problem, and I want to point out that in the EOC itself, it'll be a booklet, open close booklet, and sometimes they're going to give you problems that start on this page and end on this page. So they'll be referring back to this page, and so this problem does that. It says on the next page, part D, it says that the answer this question based on the table on the previous page, page 37. Okay, I'm just going to hold this here so we can look at the table on the screen together. All right. Which of the following are possible interpretations of the proportion 40 over 90 in the context of the table? Notice it says select all that apply. So the key to this is the 90 is the denominator. The 90, this is why there's multiple possible interpretations. The 90 shows up here as a denominator and here as a denominator. So it could be the total number of females or the total number who oppose the proposal. And then the 40 shows up also multiple times. It could be the females the opposers out of the females, the females out of the opposers, or the supporters out of the females. So the proportion of the students in the sample who oppose the proposal that are male. Well, that's really oppose the proposal. That's 90, and the proportion that are male, that would be 50 out of 90, which doesn't match here, so that one can't be. Proportion of the students who oppose the proposal that are female. So students who oppose the proposal, that's 90, and female, that's 40. So this would be 40 out of 90. This is a possible interpretation. I'm going to select it, select all that apply, so I don't. The proportion of the students who are female that oppose the proposal. How many females are there total? 90. How many of them oppose the proposal? 40. So 40 out of 90. Again, this is a possible interpretation of that 40 out of 90. The proportion of the students who are female that support the proposal. The total females are 90. Those that support the proposal are 40. So again, this is 40 out of 90. Remember, the denominator is what it's out of, and the numerator is the category, the specific number that, like what type of person that is. A person who opposes, supports, etc. So all three of these are possible interpretations of that 40 out of 90. Is kind of tricky because the 40 shows up 1, 2, 3 times, and the 90 shows up twice, so there's a lot of possibilities here. But those are the correct ones, correct possible ones.